Okay, wanted to do one other video, which is, I just kind of wanted to do a quick update on where I'm at and some of the status of the things that I am doing right now. So I think with the current roster, ignore some of these errors here. We're up to Angela Bishop. So what I'm doing is I'm using um, Gemini for the pictures. Gemini is not that smart, but it's really good at images, and I've got a really strong workflow to keep it in line so it doesn't mess up too much. If you use Claude, it's a lot better. You can kind of just ignore it and let it run, and it really won't make many mistakes. I have to keep a little bit more of an eye on Gemini, but it usually does pretty good with this new formula that I've got. But I usually will have that running on that side and kind of let that go. And then I'm working in Claude Code now. I switched over to Claude Code, Opus 4.7 with max effort. 1 million page file is just absolutely insane. It is so much better than Gemini or anything else that I've used before. It does a really shockingly good job at some things. It still makes a lot of really, really, really stupid mistakes and lies to you and hallucinates, and you constantly have to watch it and check things, make it, um, look at the source code. But that's why Jagged Alliance is actually like the perfect thing for modding, as far as AI modding is concerned, because you do have the full source code of the game. And so there is a very real source of truth. And every single time that I make a change, I can actually see, like, did I break something? And I'm not even messing really with the code right now. I'm messing primarily with the map editor, and the XML files and that kind of thing, and just putting images and things into the game, the EDTs to some slight degree, a little bit of EDT editing. But that's pretty much all I've done so far. And as far as that's concerned, I've caused a whole bunch of crashes. But then you fix the crash, figure out what caused it, and then you don't have that particular crash again. So it's a lot of trial and error and kind of working your way through things, but I've gotten it to a really good position now. And so you see, I've got these two windows open in Claude. One's working on my future version of Merc Wizard, which is going to include some further updates. I'd like to eventually fold more things into it, like kind of make it a tool set that's for the community to do whatever they want. So if anybody has any requests or anything like that, totally open to it. But that's kind of like a side project. The main thing that I'm working on is the map editor right now. And so, I say the map editor, but I never actually touch the real map editor, or at least very rarely. I might do a little bit in the polish phase, but even then, I think I'll more likely just say, put this object at this coordinate, um, or give it more general directions. But what I'm actually doing is just, using Python scripting to look at all of the existing map files that are out there. And so you saw, if you watched my last video, you saw how many mods I have installed right now. I have like 18 different Jagged Alliance 2 installs on my computer. And so what I had to do is basically run through all of those maps and look at every single map from every single game. And so I think there's really only like maybe 7 or 8 distinct maps across those, not counting Unfinished Business, which has a lot more. But anyways, there's a lot of maps and a lot of sectors within those maps. And basically, I had to crawl through and say, okay, what are the placement of all of these objects? What are the placement of all of these trees? What are the placement of all of these cactuses and deserts? And then I had to start building out like some corpuses and some rules that basically, talk it through how to do things. And so I built a custom tile set in tile set 70, and I gave it some rules on how to generate it. And I'm working on updating some of those rules right now while also updating what I've got, which is A9, just the Omerta map that I've kind of redone as Vault, and it's still got some placeholders in there. But I've gotten it really quite good at generating maps. And so it can generate a map without causing crashes, without causing errors. The map will have, if you're using stock Jagged Alliance 2 tiles and not my new Fallout tiles, which are still a work in progress. But if you use the actual Jagged Alliance tiles, then it has no problem in incorporating the JSDs and the shadows and doing them appropriately, even when building complex structures. That's pretty good. It does the corners, it does the windows, it has rules for ensuring that it's got different subframes that it's using in order to make the walls not appear all uniform. You know, some of the walls will be a little bit damaged and things like that. So I built out all kinds of rules that said, you know, this shouldn't be next to that, and you know, trees should be at least one tile away from buildings. Um, you know, certain kind of just functional guideline rules, and those rules apply in three different factors. Their first are universal rules that apply to everything. The second are tile set rules, so they apply to a specific tile set, such as an urban tile set, or a desert tile set, or a jungle tile set, and the rules are only for those tile sets. And then finally, a sector-based tile set, a rule. So like A9 has its own set of rules. So for example, in mine, A9 is a custom tile set that pulls from both desert and urban. So it has a mixture of desert and urban rules. It has all my universal rules, and then it has some rules that are very specific to A9 because I gave it rules that say, okay, um, in A9, there's a vault in the very center that's like in the ground. And so there is like a bunch of huts that are kind of built around that entrance to the vault that are, you know, were kind of built after the fact. And right now they're not huts, they're just using the stock walls, but eventually I want to make them look like huts. And so the idea was that, you know, if you go into the basement and there's a vault, but on the surface there's this tribal hut. And so basically I made the rule say, okay, well, like all of the trees should just be around this one circular area in the middle. You shouldn't generate trees outside of this coordinate box. And so I kind of draw out some grids and some maps and I tell it, okay, place this here, place that there. And then it goes through and it does it in layers. So first it does, okay, here's where all the floors are. And you can see, okay, like here's interior floors. That's the layout of where the buildings are going to be. Here's the desert floors. It does stipling to kind of mix in multiple terrains. So it's not just one desert flat terrain across the entire thing. And so it does that first pass. And then I look at it and I say, okay, move this, move that. I like this. I like that. Then it comes in with the second pass where it's going to do now vegetation. So it'll, and this is again where it uses those corpuses where it says of all of those maps that I've looked at in desert specifically, for desert maps specifically, and for cactuses specifically, if I look at every single one of those maps, what is the cactus placement? What grid coordinates are the cactuses placed on, and how many of them are placed? And so it starts to give you bounds of here's the smallest number of cactuses, here's the most number of cactuses, here's the average number of cactuses. And so you kind of can build out that, and it can do like a good job of making cactuses look similar to the way they're supposed to look in all the other maps that we've got. And so you kind of do that, you get all of that information built into the back end, which took quite a bit of time. Once you do that, then it has no problem generating the maps based on these rules. And the maps don't actually come out perfect, like in terms of like, oh, I'm happy with it and we're done here. But they do come out perfect in terms of, yeah, there are no structural issues, there are no crashes, and everything works the way that you would expect. So I'm finishing up some of that right here. And I just had some questions that it was finishing about the corpuses that I was just discussing. So basically, per sector override. So basically, what I'm saying there is we'll have a per sector override for that. But you know, if we open up my Jagged Alliance 2, this is my mod prototype right here. And can ignore all those INI errors I still haven't decided to fix. Gotta start a new game. And so you can see here, got quite a few replaced. Doing pretty good. Gizmo might be one of my favorites. Yeah, this guy's gonna be great in a fight. So we'll spawn into my custom A9. And here it is. You can see the stippling in the terrain, which, like, I don't know that I'll go with green necessarily there. It's like kind of weedy. I think I might just make it like a different desert texture, but you can see, how it's not one uniform tile. And you can see how the cactuses are placed appropriately. The cactuses actually have shadows. And you can see some of my Fallout assets that I have here, which, you know, they're not done yet because you can see, like, for example, they have no collision right now. But they do actually have shadows now. You can see, like this, there's a shadow there. Um, I don't know why the card doesn't look like it has a shadow because I was messing with it, and I think the shadow is actually like sinking into the ground right now. The cars looked like they were floating, so I had to lower their Z axis to make it look a little bit better. But it looks like it's losing the shadow now. But you can see the shadow there. The water tanks too. I'm playing around with the size. Like I think they're too small. The cars were too big before, and so I tried to resize it based on like actual real world, structures based on how big the houses are. Thinking like these are the kind of water tanks that are on the side of your house, but I think this is supposed to be more like a municipal water tank, along with like this one up here. These are supposed to be really big water tanks, bigger than the houses. So I'm gonna go back and fix that because it doesn't look as good anymore. But you can see, it built all of this, and it can build another one in a matter of minutes if we want to. Um, and then I also did some custom doors. Whoops, I already had cheat mode on. I did some custom doors here. They're not actual doors yet. You see, they have no collision, no animation. You can't use the hand on them, anything like that. But that's actually really trivial to fix. I just haven't messed with it yet. You can also see I'm messing around over here. I was messing with the size. Some of these doors just aren't going to work in Jagged Alliance. Like this one here basically will not work unless I redo walls and make the walls taller, which I have considered and may do, but I digress. That's obviously still a work in progress as well. But here I'll do real quick just to see if it actually works too. Put my money where my mouth is here. All right. Well, gonna literally let that run, and it shouldn't take it too long. And while it's doing that, we'll just run through this. Has a lot of gate compliance, so it starts out, and like I hope it's doing it all right here. Because again, this is where it does a really crappy job sometimes. But basically, it starts off with this checklist. Checklist tries to keep it in line. And it's saying, okay, slot 235, Angela Bishop. Do I have permission to go forward? You have the checklist? Does the checklist look good? I don't have the checklist memorized, but I've done like I don't know 100 or some of these so far because I've done two iterations before I got to the third one that I was happy with, happy enough with, and but yeah, I don't think it's ever really missed anything out of the checklist before because it's an actual file that it just copies. So it's pretty good at that kind of thing. Um, where it's liable to mess up is the mid-range steps, like doing a step it can hallucinate, or sometimes it'll remember this random thing that I told it not to do, and instead it remembers to do it over and over and over again, no matter how many times you tell it to stop, even if you delete the KI. So that's frustrating, but it's usually like a minor frustration because I like to run 2 or 3 of these windows at one time usually, and kind of let them run through. So, like this one right here is asking me for my plan. This one finished up. So, got the frame for her, extracted from the Talking Head mod project for Fallout 2. And that's going to give us kind of like what she looks like. It goes through some anti-hallucination features, kind of describes her to me, makes sure I like everything that I see. And if I'm being honest, I don't pay a ton of close attention to this anymore. As my first iteration, I'm gonna do well. It's not literally my first for everybody, but it's my first for Angela. Um, I'm going to do a second round and probably even a third round of reviews and changes. A lot of the stuff is just placeholder. Like I'm not really looking at the stats and stuff like that because I plan a second round of that, which is all detailed on the site. But it gives you some, lore stat direction as well that is, figured out here. And I built a ton of rules to make it do this and gave it. So it's not like it's doing this on it all on its own. It's doing this based on a bunch of trial and error and rules and getting it to do things kind of the right way. But it's at best like 75% of the way there. It's going to do a decent job of things, but it will hallucinate at some point and mess things up. So it can never do more than 90% at best, I think. So I'm happy with this. Everything looks good. And there's a celebrity likeness anchor. Um, and it's suggesting a few different ones. And I like the Kristen Ritter suggestion. So I'm going to tell it to go with that. I found that if you don't give it a celebrity likeness anchor, it tends to be a lot more generic with the faces and really struggles to do a good job of making them have more character. When it doesn't have good reference. Like this one actually has a talking head reference, so it had pretty good character from that. But and the other reason being that I just think that's kind of like a Jagged Alliance thing. Like steroids, clearly Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a lot of characters that are pretty clearly supposed to be certain people. So while that's running, and the map generator is doing the map generation right here, so it starts by reading the, Claude MD for this project, which documents extremely large document. But the first one that Claude MD is referencing is actually a small document that references all the other documents that are actually skills, and so that reduces token usage. Basically, it only has to look at the things it has to, but that's its table of contents that tells it if you're doing this, then you need to read this. So if you're making maps, you need to read these files. So it does that, and it normally would stop from my approval, but because I explicitly told it to go on its own, it's ignoring my universal approval rule that's in that MD. It's found the current A9 map and the build A9 script, which we have. It's like a stock script in one of its tools, which are in its toolkit, which is also detailed in one of its MD. So it loads the tools, sets up the to-do list. So it's got like a task list over here that it's going through and to help it kind of keep on track. So now it's figuring out where the appropriate DAT is. It's setting up a survey build so it knows everything that it can do, all of the functions that it's capable of. And now it is working on the original folder. It's looking at that, backing it up. It's everything's good. Make sure it's byte identical. Copy is good. No issues, right? And then it's going back to the build map API for the functions it's going to compose. Now it's using this skill, which, like I said, is pointed to in the Claude MD. It's one of the skills that is for Wasteland map authoring. And now it's going to do a side-by-side script right now that's going to, for this new generation. It's calling it a Junktown build. I didn't give it that name. That's one of the things it does, but obviously it's probably going to name things after Fallout-related stuff. So there you go, maps built. I don't know how long that took. Let's say a minute or two. Meanwhile, over here on Angela Bishop, it's generating all of her pictures. So there you go. Over here, we've generated some Whoopsie doozy. Wow, I can't click, so we'll just do this way. Hi. Um. So yeah, well, that is very Kristen Ritter. That's not a slight resemblance. Um, I do kind of like that one though. I think that one's the best one. Her eyes are a bit wide though, which is just something I should probably go fix. It's a relic of my original work where I said these guys should all have big eyes, and occasionally we'll still do some pop eyes. I made it big because it was easier to animate before I figured out better ways to animate. So anyway, with that running, run that over there and see what's going on here. Right. Saying the doors all landed as expected. Now it's trying to figure out if there's a render tool, but there's not. At least I don't think I built one yet. Huh? No, nope, none of that anymore. Um, so it's running all of those, and then it's doing a check to land it inside the tavern because the vegetation algorithm only checks structure occupied tiles, not building bounding boxes. Yeah, like I said, it's still a new process we're running through there, but I put some checks in place, so hopefully it catches it. Seems to have caught it there, and that still needs my approval, but looks like Angela has been redone. Oh yeah, see that's better. So variation A is good. We like that. Not quite so pop-eyed. So that'll run in parallel over there. Burning through my tokens this week though. I'm taking off from work, and good lord, did I use a lot yesterday. But got a lot done. Really fixed a lot of problems with the generation system. It's mostly dealing with just crashes like yesterday. So not having any crashes today has been great. So here's what it did. It's telling me where my backups are at. New map, which it built from this Python script here, which was a custom one built off of the standard A9 building script. And it decided to do Junktown. That is fascinating. I never gave it any instruction whatsoever to do Junktown, and it seems that it has tried to make it happen. So Scum Pit Tavern, Killian's Casino, Phil's Store and Two Residents, Doc Morbid's in the Slum. It's pretty cool. Uh, we got a Palisade. Some of this is gonna look like shit, but it'll still do it. I don't know why. I'm giving it like specific instructions. I think there's literally like 3 or 4 references to the fact that I don't like it when it tells me to copy a file and then open the game because it can copy the file and open the game. That's probably the laziest thing I've ever said in my life, but I stand by it. Um, I don't really want to do that unnecessarily. Anyway, like the whole thing is it's supposed to run over there while I'm doing something over here. And so the next step here, there's a ton of QA checks and stuff in the background that I'm not explaining, but I'm also happy to share all these files or anything if anybody else is interested. or talk you through how it all works. But basically now what it's doing is it's injecting a background into her base portrait. You always have to watch it here because oh, it launched it. That's something I've gotten used to. It's a little bit weird at first when you're in the middle of some and then the screen pops up, but let's go with Sulik. I gotta fix him too. There's some cropping issues that I figured out that I gotta go back and fix the crop on some of those, but it's not bad or anything. It's just a little off center. All right, so here we are. We're in a new map. Nope, it's in the same map. No, no, it is a different map. It changed the map. See, this is up here now. Put a palisade here. This is a regenerated map, but it didn't generate it from scratch. Well, actually, I'm not sure. It definitely changed it though. It moved all of the buildings around. That vault building is gone. All the special doors that I put in are gone. It moved this door up here for some reason that I don't understand. I think that might be in the same place, but I'm not sure. It removed the other big water tank here. Looks like it shifted all the cactuses and trees around. I believe. Oh no, that was the flashing water tank that was down here, wasn't it? So that is moved, and I think the cars were over here. It moved the cars to the left. Yeah, and there's three. Okay, and a four. There's a fourth car down there. Oh yeah, because you. So yeah, like I said, not really a masterpiece or anything like that, but you can do that. And then if I want to move stuff around, like I said, that's just the initial draw. So if you think about it from the perspective of, okay, he actually did it. I mean, put those things in. Now I've only gotten through like part of it, so it's not adding in containers, it's not adding in beds or any of that. Like I haven't done any of that stuff yet. I've only done floors, walls, doors, roofs, vegetation. Um, I think that's it. Really, I've gotten like some random doodads from Fallout that I put in like those water tanks and cars and stuff like that. That's kind of my next step is like boulders and rocks and things like that too. I start adding in all those. But building the rules is what takes time. I have to I have to give it like a lot of rules around how to do it. Otherwise, it just comes out looking like somebody took a bunch of Legos and threw them onto the board randomly. It just looks like crap. That's basically where we're at right now. You see Angela's good here, so we'll say go on Angela. And I don't want to make this video too long. It's probably too long already, and probably nobody's watching it. But I just wanted to kind of show some of the things I'm doing. I think there's a lot of opportunity to use some of these tools to get some of these mods done. I couldn't have done this by myself. If I had tried to do this by myself, it would have taken me about a decade just to get where I am right now. So, I hope the end result is a really good mod. I put a lot of time into it. I plan to keep doing this for a while. Just keep going through different iterations, making it better each time. And I'm also building a ton of documentation on how everything works as I go through this, and I think that'll be of value to other mod builders, which is why I'm building that mod reference website as well. It's really something I'd like to just give back to the community. The Jagged Alliance community is really awesome, and I've been taking advantage of all the awesome stuff they've made for 20 years now. So it'd be nice to be able to give something back. So, and it does this sometimes because one of the first people that I did was Vic, and so it's hallucinated sweat in here. There's the sun goggles test, which they're off by 1 pixel. Screen. So what it did there, what it's supposed to do here, is an extreme crop. And so there's eye spacing that is in Jagged Alliance that's like really consistent. If you look at the vanilla, it's like all 16.65 pixels. And if you look at like everything, including mods, it's all between 13.26 and 17.77 pixels. So when I do the crop, I use that and like eye recognition to determine where to crop to. And the reason that I do this is twofold. One, it ensures, and this is the thing I was talking about earlier that's broken on Sulik and a couple other people. It ensures a perfect crop where the face is centered. And this basically be the exact same crop, even if people have different widths of faces, and facial features and things like that. And so because the eyes are a good feature there, it'll make sure we got that solid perfect crop that's the same every time. And then the second thing that it's doing is it's setting up that bounds for the glasses. It's making sure that the glasses are going to fit, the eyes are the correct distance from each other because the glasses are just a certain distance. You can move the X, Y coordinates of the glasses, but they're always going to have that same difference between the two eyes. Like that's static on every single Jagged Alliance character. So the eyes can go up or down, left or right, and you can adjust the face shift. Basically, you shift when I do this, I'm not going to move the glasses. I'm literally, just going to shift the face, which is not necessary because there's a 256 frame glasses thing you can do. But it's honestly, it's just easier for 1 to 2 pixel differences to do it this way, and nobody will ever notice that 1 to 2 pixel drift. In terms of like her face won't be perfectly centered; it'll be 1 pixel to the left. I think that's 2 pixels actually. But I digress. But what it did here is it instead of cropping it the way that it's supposed to using Python, it seems like it actually just generated a cropped image and it inserted sweat because Vic is sweaty, which is funny. He's the only one who's sweaty, and I do want to go back and try and make his sweat animate too, because maybe make Myron sweat too because he's another sweaty guy. I hated them running from combat in Fallout 2. That's all they ever did. Vic's a good guy though. I don't want to. I like him in Fallout 2. I want to say I don't like Vic. Just he's always running. So now it's lying to me, which is something. Uh, something that it does. I can't figure out how to stop it from lying, and by that I mean Gemini. If this was Claude, I wouldn't be dealing with this. He'd have done it right. Um, but Gemini will mess up and then insist that they're not messing up. Um, so now it's going to try and fix that. But yeah, meanwhile, I can go back. I can tell it I want to generate some new and different things. It can build maps for me. Obviously, right now it really only knows how to do this one tile set perfectly well. And perfectly well is probably the wrong word. It's using specific A9 rules there whenever it generates a map, so they're all going to kind of look the same because it's in A9. I'd have to put in a different sector for it to be significantly different. But that's the basic concept. I think it's probably going to take me another week or two because I'm off right now. Like I think I'll figure this out in the next week or so to get it to a point where I can. I think I can generate all of the maps, like all of the city maps, um, like a rough draft of them. But I think I got to get even once that rough draft is done, there's going to be multiple polishing phases that are necessary. But this allows for me to do like a new map that's mostly desert and mountains, um, which would be more Fallout appropriate. So that's pretty much it. That's where the update is right now. I'll crank through a few of these a day, a few of the people a day, and like I said, I put up some stuff on my website with some estimates of how long everything's going to take me and what everything's doing. All of this process automatically updates the website. I never update it, and it does have some hallucinations sometimes. So if you're looking at the website, and you see something that's off. Oh, look at that! That's fun. It's really going off the reservation now. That might be the worst thing that I've ever seen. Too. I'm glad we got that on the recording. Um, but yeah, Gemini is a little bit not as good as Claude, but there we go. You got to tell it to never do things ever again. But that's it. I think I end it for now. I'll keep going through these. Keep working on this map generator and see where it gets me.